After 6, so we will go ahead and get started. Good evening. My name is Courtney Adams. I am the district's Family and Community Engagement Coordinator, and you are joining us for our second to last DAC meeting of the year. So thank you everyone for joining. Just by looking at the participant list, I see that no one I know everybody that's joined and nobody needs to join in Spanish, but I will go ahead and turn it over to Camila for our announcement so that folks who do want to join and listen to this meeting via an interpreter are able to do so.
Buenas tardes. Muchas gracias por estar con nosotros. Courtney, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Si se unió a esta reunión por Zoom, puede escuchar la presentación en español completamente y eso lo puede hacer usando los controles en la reunión. En el web puede hacer clic en la parte de abajo, dice interpretaciones y va a hacer clic ahí y hacer español. Y para escuchar solamente el idioma de español tiene que hacer clic para asegurarse que el otro idioma esté silenciado, que no lo puede escuchar. Si está en su teléfono o cualquier otro device, puede usar los controles que tienen tocando los 3 botones que te da la opción de más. Y ahí puede tocar la interpretación de idiomas y van a tocar español. Y hoy tenemos a Raúl que va a hacer toda la presentación en español. Raúl, can you hear me? Ok, ahora me puede escuchar. Así que vamos a seguir la presentación. En este momento no tenemos a nadie que hable español, así que no va a tener que hacer no va a tener que hacer nada en español en este momento, pero cuando empecemos van a regresar más personas y ahí puede empezar a hacer la presentación en español. Gracias.
Thank you. And so I will also remind everybody who is speaking today to be sure to speak slowly and clearly so that the interpreter can understand what you're saying and also has an opportunity to interpret in time. Next, I will also ask if anybody has any questions, feel free to raise your hand or put a question in the chat. And then after every section, we'll have an opportunity for questions as well. With that, I will turn it over to our DAC chair, Ms. Angie Lyle.
Us on this technology. So the first person that I want to introduce, people actually, are our esteemed board members, Ms. Tanisha Ford and Ms. Jennifer Wolfe, and they're going to give us a little presentation. And so I'm just going to turn it on over to you guys. Hopefully.
All right, and I can stop and go if you want to throw interpretation, Camilla, if anybody does join that needs it. So I will introduce myself. My name is Jennifer Wolfe. I am a member of the school board and I have been since 2016. I serve at large, which is across the district. And I have 2 children. One has already graduated from KCPS last year. She's now a freshman at Mizzou. And I have a freshman over at Paseo. And Ms. Ford, I see you on here. I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself, if that's okay.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm off camera right now because I'm a little not feeling well, but I still wanted to be here tonight. But my name is Tanisha Ford. I am a new board member, almost to the year mark. Also a member at large. And I'm a parent of a kindergartner who attends Holiday and also a 3-year-old who will be there very soon.
Great. And I don't know, Courtney or Camilla, if it's okay, there is that link on that Meet the School Board. I don't know if it's a live link, but we wanted to show the folks on the call how to find the Meet the School Board on the KCPS website. And so if it's not live, that's fine. But all you need to do is go to Oh, thank you. Perfect. If you'll scroll down just a teensy bit, and I believe what it has underneath each of our pictures is our actual email addresses, and also what sub-district we represent. So I wanted to make sure people knew how to get to that information if they wanted to email one of either the two of us, Ms. Ford and myself are both at large, or if you wanted to email your specific board representative. Also, you can email just the general board at board@KCPS or kcpublicschools.org. So that's another way to get a hold of us as well. So one of the first things I thought we'd just chat about, or Tanisha and I sat down and kind of talked about what we wanted to go over, and we won't make this super long, but one of the more important things is the relationship between the district advisory committee and the school board. The purpose of the district advisory committee really is to be that voice, both at a parent level, but also at a community level, to advise the board and the administration from that point of view. And I know many of you have heard me say this because I used to actually be a member of DAC, and I feel very strongly about that role, how important it is to us. You know, we're in a governance role, and we have to make decisions for everyone based on input that we either get by going out ourselves. But one of the key parts, I think, of the DAC is that relationship that you have to us, which is making sure we're aware of things that are happening at the school level with things at school or student, or even the communities that surround our schools. So ideally, in a perfect world, the way it works is you have some sort of organization at the school level, and then the rep from there sits at the DAC level. And so hopefully you've got everybody at the district advisory committee level speaking to one another and you know, sharing information that then gets shared to the school board that we then use to help us make better decisions. So just wanted to reiterate that relationship. Any questions? I'll just kind of like stop there if there are any questions, and I'll listen. But if I don't hear any, I'll go on. The next thing we wanted to talk about just briefly was Blueprint 2030. I also noticed, Angie, when you put up the agenda for the meeting, that it's also at the end. So we're not going to go into a great deal of detail other than around the role of the board as it relates to Blueprint 2030, which we all know is our strategic plan. And so, you know, we will actually be voting towards the end of May is kind of the set date right now as it relates to the recommendations that would come forward to the board out of this process. And just as we all know, this process has actually been going on for a long time now. It started pre-COVID, but we kind of really got back into it about a year ago. And the phase that we're getting ready to go into is going to be the scenarios phase, which, and Ms. Ford, I don't see you on here directly, but kind of help me out here a little bit. I believe we're going to begin to see those phases towards the end of this month, beginning of next. And then those scenarios, sorry, will then be communicated back out for the public and the community to weigh in on and express how they feel about those. And then the final recommendations will come forward to us. Right now, it's geared towards the end of May. We do have a tiny bit of squishy room if we need to push that to June, but our preference is not to. So because there are some things that we know the administration would like to put into play starting next year, things that are kind of low-hanging fruit opportunities. So I wanted to make sure there are some engagement opportunities that you may talk about again at the end of this meeting. But right now, a lot of you have heard perhaps about the survey and the engagement opportunity around start times. KCPS is looking to go from 3 start times to 2. And that would be 8:20 or 8 o'clock, I believe it is, and 9, I forget what the other one is, 9:15. And so I would encourage all of those on the call who are from your schools to please get the word out through your school communications to the parents and maybe at the secondary level to the students and even to the teachers as well, teachers and staff, about weighing in on that start time survey, because that information will be really important as the decision is made upon that. So before I move on, I'm going to ask Ms. Ford if she'd like to add anything to the Blueprint 2030 role of the board, part of our comments.
We just kind of double down on the importance of us getting as much feedback from stakeholders and as many different people as possible. Ms. Wolfe just kind of spoke to the input piece of us as of the board, and how it's just so important to us to hear from as many people as possible throughout this process. As we think about the vision for the district and what we want to be able to provide to students in terms of academic outcomes and student experience, all of those different perspectives are going to be valuable and help us to kind of weigh in as we're looking at all of the pieces of data. So just doubling down on that piece. And we've heard, a lot of conversation about this being a facilities plan, and we've, had a lot of back and forth conversation with the administration about it not being that. Facilities is absolutely a part of the conversation, but it's not driving the conversation. And so we just wanted to also make sure that we iterate that point to DAC as well.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I would re-point everybody if you're so interested. The January 26th board meeting, Dr. Jennifer Collier, our deputy superintendent, did a really great presentation around the academic vision within Blueprint 2030, which is a great grounding of what Blueprint 2030 really is about going forward. And I tell you, it's worth going back and finding her. She's kind of towards the middle of that meeting and just listening to that presentation. So I would encourage folks to go back and do that. It was the January 26th meeting. So next up, we just wanted kind of back to the relationship piece. We want to make sure you're aware that, we love to have you also present at some of our, of course, board meetings, which we do the policy monitoring workshop, but and our regular board meeting, but we also have committee meetings that we wanted to make sure you were aware of and knew that you were invited to. And so the upcoming meetings that we have on here are the March 15th Government Relations Committee meeting, which we already had. The March 17th Communications and Community Engagement meeting, the March 30th regular board meeting, and then the April 5th Finance Committee meeting, and then the April 13th board meeting, which will be our next policy monitoring workshop. All of these can be found on the KCPS website under calendar. And to my knowledge, most of them are in person. Some may be virtual, so just check before you show up at the BOE, but our board meetings are always in person now. And I think that was it. We thought we'd just open it up for open-ended questions for maybe a minute or two. And it looks like Steve has a question. I don't know if you have to unmute yourself, Steve, or if they have to. Okay.
I did. A couple questions. I knew about the proposed change to start times, but I didn't read anything that, as far as rationale. What is the rationale to change that, and how that's going to benefit the district?
Students?
Yeah.
So I think a big part of it, if I understand correctly, is students in general, especially those secondary students, there's a lot of, and I don't think this is the only reason, but there's a lot of research that says that they have different, what are those called? they have different time in their bodies. And
Biorhythms.
Thank you, biorhythms. And as the mother of a high schooler, I remember when my firstborn went through that, and I was like, there really is a difference there. I think that's part of it. I think the overall, just getting down to 2, I don't know if that's also a part of it from an efficiency standpoint, but I think what is driving it is really doing what's best for students in that secondary was a big part of it.
Okay, my second question is, and I think you're probably familiar with it from your time on the DAC, is that the DAC and SACs in schools are represented within board policy as parent orgs, but specifically there's 2 Kansas City Public School administrative policies, KCA and KDAA, I believe it is, but KCA, I believe, yeah, is the one that it talks about the purpose and responsibilities of the DAC, the SACs, and principals to those organizations both ways. But when you say SACs, that's really not inclusive of PTAs and PTOs. I mean, that's sort of old language when the district was just mostly, maybe totally SACs. Has there been any consideration to changing that administrative policy to be more reflective of the other organizations?
That's such a great point. As you know, when we were on there, we tried to refer to it as, we'll take any organization that's at the school level. We were not as specific as just SACs, because we know we have PTOs, PTAs, link site councils, many different organizations. To my knowledge, I don't know if because what you reference is actually an administrative policy and not
Yes.
a board policy.
Right.
So I think that is something that you could, as district advisory committee, bring to the attention of the administration and ask perhaps to have that language adjusted so that it is more inclusive of all the different types of organizations that exist at a school level.
Okay, thank you.
We could also, talk about it from the board level, but I do know, since that's an administrative policy, I think it makes the most sense for the district advisory committee to maybe talk to administration about that.
Okay, yeah, it was adopted back in 2011, so it's 11 years, probably needs to be revisited. Thank you.
That in the bylaws.
Oh,
Had to throw it in there. Sorry, guys. I see a hand up, but it just says presenter. Is that Ms. Ainsworth?
It's me. It's Dion.
Hi, Dion.
There's
Hey, how
Dion.
you doing? My question was focused more around the start time, and is there any feedback about how that's going to affect class time, especially with extracurricular activities, and knowing that some of these things may affect that more greater now that it may be moving later? Because I'm assuming if it's a later start, then it's a later finish.
Yeah, that's my understanding too. I was going to try to, right before this, look at the survey myself, but I do believe it's, since secondary starts right now at 7:20 and gets out at 2:20, I believe it's going from 8 to 3. I don't
That's
know.
right.
Is that correct? Okay.
It'll be 8 to 3 and then 9:15 to 4:15. I'm sorry.
And that 9:15 to 4:15, Courtney, is all elementaries, correct? We don't have any secondaries in that group.
Correct.
Okay. So I think, Dion, your point's well made. I remember many years ago when they tried when Dr. Covington was here, and they actually for 1 year flipped the time. So it was elementary was coming super early, like at 7:30, 7:40, and high school was the later time. And the reason they ended up flipping it back immediately the next year was because at the secondary level, the high schoolers and middle schoolers tend to need to be able to do sports and extracurricular activities and whatnot, kind of in conjunction with their surrounding different schools, and getting out of sync with that was an issue. And then students who actually work and depend upon work, that was another big part of it. So I will take back as some feedback and maybe try to get it back to you guys through Ms. Adams and Ms. Lyle, kind of how all that's going to play out as far as being able to accommodate. It is probably the same amount of seat time as for students in school, but then how one way or the other would things like extracurriculars or athletics be affected, or students being able to participate in work opportunities afterwards. And yes, Ms. Ballard actually did point out, it is a good point. There are a few, and I don't know them by name, elementary schools in that 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock time frame. The majority of the elementaries are in that 9:15, I think, but
Right, that's right. For that tier 1, it's all that 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's all of our secondary plus Border Star, Longfellow, Garfield, and Whittier. And then that tier 2, that 9:15, it's all of the other elementary schools.
thank you. And that's probably somehow around those schools that are in the elementary must have something to do with the way that the bus schedule and sequence is set up, is my guess. And then it looks like Ms. Ainsworth, who has spoken a number of times to the board and to others around, there is great research out there around that part that I talked about, the secondary students and their biorhythms and whatnot. So I'm just looking over here. And so Ms. Hood, there's that link down there. So I think that I don't see any other hands up, and I think we covered everything in the chat. Sorry if I took longer.
You are fine. We really appreciate the opportunity to get the back and forth. And I know I get to go and do the report every time to the board, and I appreciate the opportunity to give that report, but this is so much more valuable, having the board right here with us and, having access to you guys for that. And we really appreciate it. So I just want to, hopefully we keep that going. Our next guest is Brittany DeWitt. She'll be talking to us about PCs for People.
Awesome. Thank you for having me so much, to all of the doc. My name is Brittany DeWitt. I'm the Community Impact Manager for PCs for People, and just have been on the team for a solid 3 months. So I'm still kind of getting new, but I did want to come and just share some of the opportunities that we have and really some of our initiatives in terms of bridging the digital divide, so that we're really just more so able to be used as a resource. So we were formerly known as Connecting for Good, a local nonprofit that was able to provide access to low-income families with refurbished computers and broadband internet access. Over 2020, when we had quite an expansive need for internet and computers, we wound up merging with a national nonprofit called PCs for People. That was mainly to be able to get more access to inventory and be able to spread kind of the wealth within the metro area. And so with the adoption of my role, we're on a focus to provide and expand the ability to do pop-up distribution events across the metro area, and really have more intentionalized partnerships with the school systems, libraries, social service agencies, and whatnot. So really, for anyone to be enrolled or connect with our program, they just need to be an income-based government assistance program, students with reduced lunch, or have an income 200% below the federal poverty line. We don't check for citizenship or immigration status, but our laptops are available for $25 to $150, desktops for $11 to $100. And recently we became an approved internet service provider for the Affordable Connectivity Program. It's kind of like a SNAP subsidy, but for internet broadband access, which allows us to offer free internet and discount the rate of hardware so that individuals are able to get access to broadband and for $50 and a computer for $50. We do have a retail store and digital literacy lab located on the east side of Kansas City, right off of 71 in Linwood. But again, we know with computer needs, specifically with homes with multiple families, they're continuing. So we're really adamant about starting in May, having at least 2 to 3 distribution pop-up events across the metro through intentionalized partnerships. So if you have resource fairs that are happening, then we'll you'd like to kind of partner up for any sort of research opportunities. There's quite a few different distribution opportunities that are available, but I would love to connect. My role full-time is just establishing these partnerships and increasing our digital inclusion footprint. So I will input my contact information in the chat box below. But it looks like I actually had a question here. Devices no longer available for free at the Linwood location. We're still working with Linwood Neighborhood Coalition and the Linwood location. We have limited availability for the free laptops, but if they want to get enrolled in ACP, then we can get them connected to a free device as well. Melvin, thank you for that question. Are there any other questions, Steve?
Yeah, I was just wondering, is this just for parents that have school children, or is it for anybody that's low income?
It's anyone who's low income. Right now, we're partnering with the housing authorities to kind of expand our internet broadband access. We've worked with a couple of social service centers, but truly anybody and everybody is low income is available to is able to access our resources. So okay. It's really kind of spreading word of mouth.
Do you have any data on how many KCPS families that you've been able to assist in that way? Do you keep that kind of data?
We keep data for school children. I don't believe it's specific to KCPS, but I can try to run a couple reports and see if we're able to kind of pull that from there. I'm not quite sure. When we switched from Connecting for Good to PCs for People, a lot of that data was lost in the in-between. But yeah, that's also a part of the reason why they kind of initiated my role, to try to increase the specificity of that data as well.
Yeah, if for instance, since we're doing KCPS, if we saw that you weren't being able to reach KCPS, then probably something internally within KCPS needs to be done so that more people, that they have that spread around, the information spread around, so they can get that ability to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know I shared with Courtney some of the flyers that we could get into Peach Jar, but I'll also input some of the flyers in to our chat bot as well, or the chat spot as well, so we can have access to all of those flyers. We have our website is by the end of this week will be updated with events that are coming up for both collection and distribution events. The 2 to 3 event pop-ups will be in full swing starting in May. So something to look forward to. But if there are any opportunities specifically with KCPS or individuals that that are trying to have specific initiatives for expanding digital literacy and digital access, please send them my way, and we can get more specific or fine-tuned programming set into school as well.
Thank you.
And Brittany, you had 2 questions in the chat. One was about the ERecycling. Can you share more information on the ERecycling?
Yes, absolutely. So with ERecycling, we have collection events across the metro. So we have quite a few coming up with April being Earth Day month / week. But if you have we accept quite a variety of e-cycling. If there are computers, laptops, desktops, monitors, end of life, we have a team of technicians that are all Microsoft refurbishers. So you can email me to schedule a free pickup for any items that are over 20, if like you have more than 20 computers. Or we have a warehouse in 518 Santa Fe, which is the West Bottoms, or a retail store where you can come and donate just in our Gaylords any sort of e-waste variety packets. We're certified NAID recyclers, so we'll do any sort of data destruction, so you know that your data is safe. But if we're not able to refurbish completely the item, then it is was responsibly recycled as well.
And Brittany, I'm gonna just move us on in the agenda. Please put your flyers in the chat and put your contact information. And if you have some questions, please reach out to Brittany. But Melvin, you can print those flyers out or maybe connect with Brittany if she already has flyers or brochures printed. You can get some at your school building and hand them out that way. But I'm gonna move us on. Thank you so much, Brittany.
Thank you for your time, everyone.
I really appreciate hearing about that too, and I think we definitely can help get the word out. Our next guest is, I was trying to secretly send him a message to ask how to pronounce his first name, Mr. Washington. You didn't see my chat.
Oh, I didn't check. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's Darren.
Darren, okay,
Yes.
Thank you so much. Because I hate butchering people's names, and I meant to ask earlier. So thank you so much, Mr. Washington. Please take it away about our student discipline.
That's my mom's fault. She wanted to be different.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Darren Washington. I'm the student discipline officer for Kansas City Public School. Just a real brief, I know we're kind of in a time crunch, so just real quick about me a little bit. I know that's funny. I always tell people that I'm allergic to morning, even though I have to usually show up 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm just not a morning person. But a little bit of background about me. I've been in education over 20 years. Most of my background is alternative education. I've been in discipline probably for a good 20 years of that in some form. I've been in this role in Kansas City Public School for 10 years. And so I'm very passionate about kids. I have 3 grown kids. 2 have graduated from Kansas City Public School, Paseo and Lincoln. And then I have 2 grandsons. One's at Hartman and another one's at AC Prep Elementary. So I'm still assisting with them in the Kansas City Public School district. So I'm pretty much aware of what's going on at all times, but they're kids. One thing, as you see all this stuff on here, walk the talk, exercise your brain. You know, my thing is discipline is a always changing process, not only within the schools, but within the district. We have different discipline programs, different structures. All this stuff continues to change. So I try to keep abreast of what's going on and trying to keep, like I said, keep strengthening the brain. One of the main things I do is keep in touch with a lot of surrounding discipline officers in different districts. We normally would have a training at North Kansas City, and we've all come together, and even people from St. Louis come and those type of things. But that has not been occurring, you know, for the last couple due to COVID and some other constraints at North Kansas City. So hopefully we'll get back to that. But it's to build those relationships with surrounding districts so we can have dialogue about different situations and different kids that move around in our district. You can go to the next slide, please. This is in the code of conduct. So I'll just make some of this short and brief. If you don't have a copy of the Code of Student Conduct, it is online on the website. It's also in Spanish, in Swahili on the website. What happens is this book gets created, revised, and gets handed out to the schools, and then they share it with the students, which then the parents receive one, and all the staff in the school buildings receive one, all the way to board and departments and those type of things. But designed to encourage students to accept responsibility for their actions, teach students to respect the rights of others, facilitate learning, and promote the orderly operation of all Kansas City public schools. So if you were a part of the huge process last year, we worked on this code of conduct all year. It took all year. We had groups, about 4 different groups of people that met to discuss different sections of the code of conduct. And then we got those revisions. What about this? It was continual questioning and asking questions. When we did a draft in January, that draft went back to the code committee members, which consisted of parents, teachers, counselors, trauma clinicians, principals, vice principals. So we tried to, get 1 or 2 people from all areas with different type of skill sets to really lock their horns on this. The main focus was to be more trauma sensitive, more restorative practice focused. And so we changed a lot of language throughout the whole code. So just for real brief, for revisions to the code, every school year, there is a code committee created. And like I said, that consists of parents, teachers, counselors, VPs, and we try to do a unique type of group for that code committee. And I send the code back out to them. They do some revisions, and then we meet as a group to review that and have those conversations and that dialogue, and try to make things more easier to understand, how that connects to the school when it comes to their processes in the school. So we review it, make revisions, and then I create a draft. So where you see on number 4, sections are sent to specific departments for revisions. So one that I thought of is the Safe School Act. So the laws that are given to us from Missouri, some things have to be in the code of conduct. So I work with legal to make sure that the information we're putting in the code is matched with Missouri state laws and state mandates. And so they do all of that and give it back to me, and then I put it back in the code. Draft is created and reviewed, and it's reviewed by many people. Like I said, the code committee, the board, the cabinet. So last year, that revision went through a lot of different eyes and ears before we even put it up for voting in June. And so I try to have this code revised and submitted for the board to vote on, so we'll have a fresh and updated code for the next following school year. So I did real quick. So Courtney, we can kind of skip over this part where it says just some revised languages, but let's just do this. Do this one. The dress code. This is what it looked like in 2021. As you see, very detailed, kind of examples of dress, kind of, straight to the point, clothing and accessories. So go to the next slide so you can see how it was revised. And so we were trying to be more non-punitive language, more trauma sensitive, those type of things. So that's what we were trying to work on. So if you go to the next slide, and I know I'm flying through, but I don't want to, next one, go to the general language revised. So this is what was in that last code 2021, and we changed this language. So offenses and violations are now behaviors. It used to state classes, so that's where the offenses are listed. So we turned it to group. And so consequences, interventions and responses. In-school suspension is a recovery room. Expected, must comply is encouraged. So changing some of that language to where it's more positive, not, like I said, punitive. And we went through a lot of different code of conduct from other cities, as well as some around our own, and looked at those in comparison to. And we just really, I think we did a pretty good job for last year before we presented it to the board and got approved. So now we're in this school year. So these are some school-wide proactive supports that we have in the district. And if you don't know, restorative justice and restorative practices is kind of a new thing that we're trying to push out into the schools, and that will assist students like with mediation, restorative circles, to try to get students and work with students to be able to handle conflict and situations that take place in the school. Behavior interventionists. Also, one of the big pushes which applied the board was pushing that every school has a full-time counselor in their school, and they're not being shared with other schools. So then that counselor can really build some relationships with their students and put some processes and plans in place to assist them. The problem-solving team, PST. Yes, I did put that in there. Go to the next slide, please. So the problem-solving team, all schools are supposed to have a problem-solving team. And this is a process that includes teachers, administration, counselors, trauma clinicians, to do some more proactive means to support the student within the classroom. So they have a meeting, they have a conversation, they include the parent, and have what can we do intervention-wise to assist with whatever behavior it may be. And that's also including academics. I think a lot of times when we talk about problems, we go straight to behaviors, but it also can be academic issues, or it could be attendance issues. And so to try to come up with a game plan on how to fix that, to work with that student to fix that issue in the school. So that's the PST. I think I saw a question.
Yeah, it looks like, how do we find out who or what our PST at our school?
Ask the administration or counselor. They should be able to direct you. And every school should have one, a problem-solving team in their building. I know some they operate differently depending on, what resources and what support staff that they have in the building. But they do have a full-time counselor, and some schools are shared by clinicians. So I know I went through kind of quick through this, but the one thing that I'm here to ask, as you see, there's my email address. If you are wanting to participate in this year's code committee, please send me an email with your name and title, and then I will respond back, but I will put you on the list. And depending on how many people that I get involved, kind of depends on how I will restructure the group. We're not gonna, like having 45, 50 people, then I'll probably, split it and do 25 and 25. And then also I'm working with Courtney, and I will get with Camilla as well on how to grab some more kids and get the students more involved. I know there has been some conversations already with students, and I want to hear some of those concerns or some of those questions on the code and make sure they have a voice as well. So I'm trying to play catch up. I have been out of the office, so I'm trying to play catch up on this end to make sure people have a voice in getting information out as well as receiving information, so we can get this new code put together. I don't think we'll have to do so much deep dive because we did that all last school year. But we still need to revisit, and all through the year, I'm writing down, I see this. So anyone that is interested in this, I am easy to work with. Whatever you heard about me, it's not true. So you can just email me, and I will reach back out and get you on the list. I'm gonna work during spring break to figure out some good dates and times from when we come back from spring break. And I know one of the concerns I would have now is because when we come back, we're going to start, drumming up and getting ready for map testing. So I'll try to work around as much as possible to get everybody involved in the process.
That was really a lot of great information, and I'm sorry we didn't have more time to dig into it, because I know that work is really deep work. And I'm actually involved in the Equity and Equality Committee, and there is equal amounts of work being done to other places in the school's code. And so I think that it's really important work, and it's great that we're highlighting it, that it's being done. And I thank you for coming and letting us know about it.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. So Courtney, are you ready to give us a quick update on our Blueprint 2030 next steps?
Yes. Well, I will just echo some of what Ms. Wolfe and Ms. Ford already shared. We are in phase 3 of Blueprint 2030, which is really exciting. It's the scenarios that our team and our consultant have come up with based off of the various points of feedback that we've gotten and assessment data that we've gotten collected over the last 2 years. And so that team has put together several, I'm not sure how many scenarios, to really, again, incorporate that feedback and look at what does the future of KCPS look like? What's offered at all of our buildings? What does the student experience look like? What programs are there? What do our facilities look like? So it's a really exciting conversation. And we are excited to get your feedback on those pieces. Your feedback is crucial because it'll go back to the board and then come back out again to get shared. So I think Ms. Wolfe talked about that a little bit, but we have some dates. We're calling them community chats, tentatively scheduled in April. We will release those dates in the next week. And so we're planning for 5 dates all around the city, some of our school buildings, some at community facilities, and to make sure that all of our families can come and engage. We will have interpretation in Spanish, Somali, Swahili, and Burmese. And then we're going to have one meeting that's totally facilitated in Spanish. So once we release those dates, please check, let's see what slide I have here. Please check our website under the engagement series. In about a week, it's at, you see the website there, KC Public Schools /Blueprint. But once you see those dates, please come out. Please encourage your peers, your neighbors, your friends, your students to come out. Your feedback is crucial and essential in this process. So that is all I had, but get ready for some community chats and to see some proposals for ways that we can better serve and best serve our students in the Kansas City community. Raylia, hi. Raylia is a student from Southeast. She joined our parent university last night to talk about college and career readiness. So Raylia, can you take yourself off mute and ask your question? We'll type it. Raylia, if you can't, go ahead and just type it in the chat. Well, your question is, does anybody have a question about Blueprint 2030?
I can take her off mute.
Oh, okay. Raylia? Raylia, can you hear us?
Mm-hmm.
Hi, what's your question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, if you think of it, let us know and we will take you off mute again so that you can ask it, or again, you can just put it in the chat. I'm gonna go ahead and move on. Oh, I didn't mean to do that.
Meanwhile, I put a link in the chat for the Google form for anybody who has not filled this out. This is just a survey that we're doing of our attendees. We'd like to know how many of you are, hopefully you're all delegates, or, we'd like to know about your parent organization, your interest in the DAC. We've got a lot of really great opportunities to get involved in the DAC. It doesn't necessarily involve leading a meeting, but or even being on the board. There's plenty of opportunities to get involved, and I know we wanted to make sure that that was communicated, because at our next election, we're going to have elections, right, Courtney? So we'll have an election for a new board, and I have enjoyed serving on the board. I will probably volunteer again. I've got 1 year left. I've got 2 juniors right now at Lincoln College Prep, and but you don't have to be a parent to be engaged in this way, because Steve is definitely, he's been here as a community partner for a few years, and we've got Dion Lewis on the line as well, who is also a parent over at Lincoln Prep with me. We're both involved on the SAC there, but we love to hear from other parents from other schools. And our goal is to, you know, even if you don't want a parent organization in your school, to at least give you the same opportunities that our parent organizations are getting. So, you know, in any way, please reach out, use that link in the chat. Consider a volunteer position on one of these committees that we've got. And also the, really, it doesn't sound as it's not as formal as it looks. We are a very informal group. And one of the things that I really like about being involved in this at this particular level, and I've been a Border Star PTA parent, I've been now a Lincoln SAC parent. And what I like about it at this level is the direct interaction that I'm getting with the staff, you know, the administration, the board, and there's just a lot more that we have done together, I think, being able to, you know, advocate for our kiddos at that level. So with that, I know we're kind of at the end of our meeting. I don't know if there's anything else I need to add, but I do want y'all to just reach out if you have any questions at all, you want to pick our brain. Dion,
Did you have any subcommittee updates?
Chime in. What was that?
Did you have any subcommittee updates?
So our subcommittee updates are, I missed the government relations meeting this morning, or that happened yesterday, but Dion might be able to give a quick update on what was discussed at that meeting. These are committees that happen with the school board. Oh, Ms. Wolfe's back. She actually leads that committee. And you could probably give us a little bit of an update about what was on that call.
I'll give you very, very short because I know we're at the end. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. We are following 2 bills when right now everybody's on legislative spring break, but we'll be following equity funding bill. And when it hits the Senate committee next week, I think it's Tuesday, and the open enrollment bill. That's also, I don't think it's going to be in heard yet, but those are 2 bills that passed out of the House right before the break. So we're watching those very closely. Make sure if you're not getting the legislative e-news that you send if you want to get it, send an email to legislativealerts@kcpublicschools.org. And one of the other things that we talked about is we've been invited, but we're not sure. We're going to try to work out the logistics, but St. Louis Public Schools would like to partner with Kansas City Public Schools to do a day in April. We don't have a date yet, but where we all go to Jefferson City for a We Love Our Public Schools kind of rally day and lobby day. So as we begin to plan that, I will work with you, Ms. Lyle and Ms. Adams, about how to communicate that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm sorry the 8 a.m. meeting is so hard for me. Just kidding. It's not terrible. You guys do it on Zoom. I should be able to make that. And then the equity and equality meeting, I haven't seen a new date yet for since the last time I gave an update on that. And like I said, we're digging through different pieces of code that are not, they're just pieces of remnant old, not code, but like language in the school district's policies that is not conducive to a diverse culture that we have. So I'm really liking that work. I think it's very tedious, but it's important work, and it's really what we're looking forward to, you know, making all of our schools, you know, be on an equal playing field. Athletics and activities, I know Dion and Steve are both involved in that. Does anybody want to give an update on the latest in athletics and activities? Nope. Okay. How about STEM and academics?
Yeah, I just wanted to, I'm going to post right now again in the chat.
Steve, you just went mute.
Oh yeah, he's
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you for that. I just posted in the chat the information to contact me if you're interested in serving on our subcommittee dealing with STEM and academics. I've had 3 meetings, not well attended, so we need to find some way to get more people involved, and just feel free to email me or call me, and we'll get you connected.
And all of that pertains to, you know, not just the different kinds of programming that might be available, but, you know, equipment that your school might need. I mean, these are the kinds of committees you'd want to be on if you would like to see more of that in your school. And so that's why these committees are so important. And the community and communications engagement, I haven't gotten a report of a meeting from them either since the last time we had a meeting. So every time there's a meeting, we try to join, we give our perspective from the DAC, and it's like the first step in learning about what's happening with the school district. So I like being on those meetings.
I just want to chime in real quick. I had trouble unmuting my phone earlier when you asked about athletics, but more to come. The last meeting of the year, I'm in hope to get someone to come speak and talk about athletics moving forward. I know there's going to be some changes in leadership at the district level, so just more to look forward to that. So you know, if the community wants to know for the 2023 what the plans are, I highly advise coming to the next and the last DAC meeting.
Yeah, and it's going to be on a different date. I think we landed on May 5th, and we had to move it because there's a lot of end of the year activities, and there was a graduation scheduled for our regular DAC meeting. So please do join us or put it on your calendar, because we're going to talk athletics, and it's our last meeting of the year. We're going to do elections. All of you delegates get to vote, and I look forward to seeing you then. And it'll be the end of the school year. We will have made it again.
Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, Cinco de Mayo. It'll be great.
If I could just say one more thing,
Yes.
I did serve on the selection committee for the Lincoln Prep football coach that they were going to hire, and we interviewed 6 people, and I just want to say they were all great. There were some really outstanding candidates. The school district would be well served hiring several of these guys, but I know there's only one position, but maybe some of them will come on as assistant coaches. So I just wanted to mention that.
Excellent. Uh-oh, there's already a conflict with the May 5th date, Courtney. Okay. Just kidding. We'll figure it out. All right. I think that's it. I don't have anything else. If there's any other comments or questions, I mean, we'll be available. I really appreciate everybody that showed up. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.